guys, and welcome to my video. So in this video, I'm going to be making this blueberry purse, or blueberry pie purse, which I saw in this one crochet video and I just think it is so cute. I have a crochet purse that I made myself that I wear all the time. This purse I actually made out of like scrap yarn, but I wear it so much, so I thought I would love to have another crochet purse. So I'm going to be using this blue yarn. I believe it's Varsity Blue. I'm using another Joann's one in the shade Camel. What is tricky about this though is that it is a circle, and I want it to be big enough to hold my phone and different things I want to put in there, like a book or something. So actually I have already started on this project. So in the video I watched, she did, instead of the double crochets in a circle, she did a bobble stitch in the round. So I've been working on that, but this is what it looks like so far. Also, I'm using a 5mm hook, or an H hook. So to start, I'm going to show you guys how to do this bobble stitch if you want to do this along with me. And if you want to see a legitimate video on how to do it, if mine is too confusing, that will be in the description of the video I used. But let me give you a little tutorial on how to do that now. And then when I do the camel, the pie crest, I'm just going to do double crochets in the round. So a video for that will be in the description as well. Okay, so I'm just going to be using this blue yarn here, and you're going to start out with a slip knot or a magic circle. I'm going to do a magic circle because it's easier to tighten the center at the end. So now that you have your little circle, but we're going to do 6 single crochets into the circle. So 1. Okay, so now you have 6, and once that's done, you're just going to go ahead and tighten it. So it's a circle, and do a slip stitch into the top of the first single crochet that you did. So then I just chain 1, and then we're going to start on a bobble stitch. So we're going to be doing 6 in this round. So how you're going to do that is basically half double crochets. Like in a regular double crochet, you're just going to loop over your hook, push through that first crochet there, and not the one that we just slip stitch into the next one. And you're going to loop over and pull through only 2 loops. So there should be 2 on the hook when you're done, the beginning one and the one you just made. And you're going to go ahead and do that 4 times. So you're going to end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on your hook. And so these are all the half double crochets we just made. We just didn't finish them. So now you're going to loop over and pull through all 5. And then chain 1. And that is your first bobble stitch. And then for the next one, you do the same thing in the next. Until you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So once you do your row of 6, you're going to do 2 single crochets in the top of every bobble and chain 1. So there's going to be 12. I went ahead and just adjusted it as I felt worked for me and my yarn and the hook I was using. Okay, so I finished the blue circle. I ended with 13 rows, so 6 of the bobble rows and then 7 of the single crochet rows. So when I did my final bobble row, I did the single crochets around the edge, and I didn't follow like an exact science when it came to the single crochets around each row. I would go like 1 single in 2 spaces and then 2 in 1, and or I'd go 1 single in 4 spaces straight and then 2 in the next. Depending on how my circle was laying, if it was kind of wobbling a bit, I would change it. If it was like bowing a bit, I would add more. You know, it's just about knowing the science of crocheting, I guess. But this is it. It's about this. This is my hand. This is a small book. Yeah, this is the blueberry pie portion, and then you just do the strips. But before that, I'm going to be making the back circle. So you make this circle with the bobble stitches, and then I've started my back section with the camel color, And I'm just doing double crochets, so I'll put the video that I used down in the description because it's a very interesting video. I'm just gonna keep making it until it is the same size as this. Okay, so I've made a lot of progress, as you can see. So last time I finished this, I ended up with 11 rows. So on this last row of double crochets here, I had the 2 double crochets in one, and then I did 8 single, like just 1 double crochet in each one, and then the next double. So that's what I ended on if you're keeping track. And then I went ahead and did a single crochet border with 2 single crochets in the increased spots. So there would be 9 single crochets and then 2 single crochets in the same spot. I did an edging around this guy. So this is really simple. It's just a shell border. I kind of showed you guys how to do it in the video, but I'm going to explain it now, and there's going to obviously be a video in the description. And so you just tie it on, and then you skip that first space there, and you go into the next one, and then you do 5 double crochets in the same stitch, and then you're going to skip the one immediately next to the one you just did the 5 double crochets into, and then do a slip stitch into this one, and then again you're going to do the same thing, skip this stitch here, the next stitch, and then work into that stitch, 5 double crochets, skip, slip stitch, skip, 5 double crochets, and you do that all the way around. So that was that. And then I also made these guys. I've been binge watching NCIS, so I've had plenty of time. So these guys are the strips for the pie crust. So for the shorter one, because I did 4 short ones and 2 long ones, for the shorter one I went ahead and I chained 35, and then I skipped the last 2 chains that I made and did a double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook, and then I went in, did double crochets all the way across, chain 1, turn, and I did a slip stitch into the top of every double crochet just to give it a little bit more height. So I did 4 of those, and then for the middle section, obviously it's a bit longer because it's a circle, so I had to make these a bit longer. So for these ones I went ahead and chained 40, and then the same thing. These are all of the pieces. I have them, and then the last thing that I'm doing, so before assembling the purse I wanted to make it a little bit wider just so I could fit a little more things in there, so I'm doing a kind of a border, I suppose. So this is going to go in between here and just make it a little bit wider. So how I'm doing this is I started with a chain 5, and then I did 4 double crochets into that chain, and then I flipped my work, and I've been working into only specific loops. So say this is the top, I want this kind of edging here to look like pie crust more, and so for this side I would only work into the back loops, and then when I flipped it I would only work into the loops frontwards to me, so that I can get these pieces of the stitch to pop out more and look more like a pie crust. And then these guys I'm going to sew on probably before because I think it'll be easier. So how to do that, you just want to lay them out in like a lattice pattern. So you'd start with your cross ones, and then you take these ones and just kind of like loop them under like this. So you want to do alternating patterns, so this one would go on top, underneath, on top, and then this one would be under, on top, under, and so on and so forth. And then to sew them on, So here it is, and measuring it out, I started with this one smack in the middle, so I had 31 around, so I had like 14 on this side and 15 on this side, and then these two makes 31, so I got smack in the middle there, and I spaced these guys 2 away from the middle one on each piece, and then this one smack in the middle best I could because I had an odd number. This one had to go there, and then these guys just with whatever was left. So that's how it worked. It looks so good. It looks really cute. I made this piece as well, so that's how it turned out. I think it looks really cool. And then this is just gonna go like around the edge here. And now at this point, if you're doing your strap single color, like this color, the pie color, then I would recommend making it this and then just keep going around for the strap, and then that way it's more sturdy and it can just like, you connect it to here and then it continues on around. You just leave it this unconnected. Also, I forgot to mention this piece. Like I said, it is 5 across, and I ended up making a strip of 50, and I think the opening is going to be just enough. So this is it going all the way around. It's going to be an opening wide enough that I can still fit things like a book, like a bigger book or my Bible or something in there, and then attaching the straps to it is only going to add a little extra coverage here. Okay, so seaming it is kind of a different thing. So when you're doing the seam, just because the seam can often be big and bulky, so you're going to want to do it on the inside, so you're going to make sure that the inside of both of yours are facing out, and that you're doing it on the right side. Now, personally, I'm doing a single crochet join just because I want it to be super strong. I want it to be able to hold like books and things, so I'm going to be doing a single crochet to join these. If you want one that's a little more seamless, a little less bulky, then I would recommend a slip stitch or even sewing it. So that being said, you also need to be doing a little bit of math to make sure that you get this right. So this is 50 rows, and I have 9 sections on this and ended up with each section having 11 stitches in it. So I have 99 stitches around this whole thing. Now, if I were to do 2 single crochets on each row of this thing, as it is double crochets and that's customary, that would be 100, and that would be more than this even has. So what I'm going to be doing, so here is the double crochet. As you can see, it's a very big gap, and then the one right above should be a little bit smaller. There should be 2 openings where the 2 chains were, and here and here, and I'm going to put a single crochet in both of those, and then that's going to equal 75 single crochets to attach this, which means it will be end right here and here, which is what I want. Okay, so this is kind of tricky, but what we're doing to seam the edges here, so I have 31 of these shell stitches. Each of them have 4 places for me to sew into, which is the chain one here, the spot where I chained 5, and then the chain one here, and then the slip stitch here. So that, removing the few that I want to use for the opening, I have about 100 of these spaces to sew into. Now, if you're keeping track of this guy, there's 50 rows with 2 spaces for you to sew into in each row, as they're double crochets, so that makes 100. So it would be 1-to-1 with the sewing. However, what I'm doing is going through here and out here, and then going around the outside of here. So instead it's 2-to-1. So I'm doing only one sewing stitch, whatever, into this row and into each row. Here we have our shell, and as you can see, I just went through this outer layer, so we're gonna go to this one next. Tuck that under. So I'm gonna go into this gap here, chain 1 space, pull through, and then we're gonna go through this center space here. and then we're going to go around the outside. And I just went into this one, so we're going to be going into this space right here. Either one of the openings on the chain one space. Go through and then pull it tight, and you see it come together like so. Okay, so I finished the edges, and this is how it turned out. It actually looks really good. You can't tell at all that the seam is there, even on the inside, because it's sewn. And so I started working on the strap. So how I did it is I still had extra left over from sewing the side on. So what I did was I slip stitched across this side thing here, and I went ahead and I took it and I made as many chains as I could. So what I did was I chained as many as I thought would be good for a purse. So I wanted it, when I stood up, to sit like around at my hip. I made that first foundational chain of all browns, and then I went ahead and I tied my blue on. And what I'm doing now is I have both the brown and the blue together, and I'm just making half double crochets using that. So this is what it looks like. It's kind of got a cool marbled kind of texture, and it's a lot thicker, so it's going to stretch less and it's going to be more stable. And I'm just going to do 2 rows of this. So this is 1 row, right? And then I'm going to do a second row. When you're working with 2, it's the same concept. It's really simple. So what I've been doing is, as soon as I hit this guy again, the inside border that I added on, I just go ahead and I do a single crochet to latch this row onto this guy, and then I do another one to start the next row, and then I just turn it, and we're going to skip that single crochet, the 2 that we used to bind it to this guy, and we're going to go ahead and jump to the half double crochet. Half double crochets are really easy. So what you do is, like you're doing a double crochet, you just want to wrap your hook, loop around your hook, go through that stitch there, and then you'll have 3 loops on your hook as if you're doing a double crochet, but then you're going to go ahead and pull through all 3 loops in one go. So I'll do it again so you guys can see. So again, I've got both colors on there, and we're just going to loop both colors over, push through that stitch right there, hook both colors, make sure that you do that and pull it through, and then pull through all 3 loops, or all 6 strands, and then that's how you do it, and it turns out like this cool marbly pattern. I finished the bag. Are you ready for the reveal? Yeah! And then this is my heaviest book, but there was no stretching, which is awesome. So the border really helps add a little more room for the book to sit. And then this is it with just regular stuff in it, like my wallet, my phone. Also, this used surprisingly less yarn than I expected, so this is the end. So it's not even half the size it was. And then this was completely full when I started, and this is it now. So honestly, not that much. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Comment of the week is, what is the craziest purse design you have ever seen? As always, mine will be in the description, along with other links such as my social media and the link to donate to my fundraising to be a missionary to Japan. And also comment other crochet videos you guys want to see, and see you next weekend.